I mean, to be a woman is, I always say, like, it is, femininity is something that is drawn out of me by a man,
Right.
or
Okay.
by like a relationship with a man. I mean, it
Hmm.
doesn't happen in a group of girls chatting. we
Right.
might
No,
we
exactly.
might be very sort of girlish in that we're all talking at the same time and laughing at the same time, and you know, we have different ways of talking amongst ourselves, but it's not particularly feminine, if you know what I mean. It's
Right.
there's
I do. Right.
femininity is something that's sensual, and that I find happens relationally, uh,
Absolutely.
with a man who's who's able to sit comfortably in his manhood and
Right.
in his masculinity.
I
Um,
completely concur with that, and from a masculinity standpoint, I think that's it's exactly true. I think that is exactly true. To be a masculine male, I think that exactly is what that means. To be secure with your own masculinity, to sit in with yourself, and to be that dynamic of what that means to interact with a woman in her femininity. I think to
right,
to come into your own in a sense of masculinity. I think it exactly is the dynamic of how I interact with women.
right,
Attractiveness, good looks, all that, that's something separate altogether. But to be able to really function, really understand the dynamics of how we operate, how we configure ourselves together, really comes down to how my masculinity interacts with her femininity.
right.
All that.
So when here's so you know, I just have in the back of my head, some friends of mine would say, but that's exactly how I don't want to be treated as a woman, because then he's treating me like a woman and not like a full person, or not like a person. And I'm, first of all, I'm like, well, why are you assuming that it's negative to be treated as a woman? First
Right.
of all, I mean, why would that be a lesser than thing
Yeah.
than
Good
to be
point.
treated in any other way? So that just seems strange to me. But when they say, well, that's not treating me like as a full person, I think, well, that's no, that you're precisely opposite.
Right.
because
Right.
because part of me is that I'm a woman. I mean, I can't get away from that.
Yeah.
And so to be treated as such, is certainly recognizing my full personhood, rather
Absolutely.
than turning a blind eye to an important and valued part of who I am.
Precisely. I would agree with this. I'd like to hopefully find a point of disagreement. Unfortunately, Marilyn, you're saying things I agree with. But I concur with this because I think to focus only in on the fact that I'm a male, but I'm also human. I'm a male human, and you're a
Yeah,
male female. That actually
right.
is not being full. I'm not being it wouldn't be complimentary to me, and it wouldn't be complimentary to you because I'm not acknowledging the fact that we are humans. That's what we are as mammalians. What the type of mammalians we are. It's not something special.
Right.
But
Yeah.
to distinguish us individually, separately, you have to go on the binary. The binary is the fact that we do have this. There's a feminine energy. There's a masculine energy,
Yeah.
and I think it is true. There's a point of activation, whether somebody may be, when we attribute attributes, let's say traditional attributes, let's say to women, kind, gentle, soft. These may all be true. There's nothing to say a man can't be kind, gentle, and soft too. But in the interaction, in a heterosexual relationship with interaction with a woman, I think a man activates his masculinity. You can be
Sure.
that. You can be more than just the kind, gentle, soft, tender. These may be attractive
Oh,
qualities, but the
well, guess
qualities of
what?
people.
And if a male female relationship is going to be productive, and I mean literally productive,
Mhm.
a man can't be soft,
Yeah,
but actually has to be hard, right?
valid
Otherwise,
point.
otherwise, this is going to stay in some sort of polite platonic realm.
Exactly.
But certainly, I mean, you need a man to be hard, assertive,
Right. Right.
and for a woman to yield.
Right.
And this is not, there's no sense of inequality here. There's no sense of unfairness. It's just that's how sex is going to
it's the
work.
eternal dance. It's the eternal dance. It's the
Yeah.
dance we
So,
play. I
yeah.
mean,
So,
that is I think the point of which we get something I think is, I dare not say lost, but maybe hidden for a period of time now is mystique. We get this mystique
yeah.
element. It's language unspoken. It's not it's not being it's assertiveness, but it's also indirect language. It's an indirect language. It's a playfulness. It's a banter
Yeah.
of sorts.
Yeah.
It's a dance. It's a dance we always
Yeah.
do, and you have to. I think there is a point of assertiveness. I think you can. There's only so much, somebody who's to quote 16 Candles, I think it's 16 Candles, oily bohunk can only go so far. But if you have no assertiveness, if you have no understanding of who you are in a
Yeah.
masculine sense, I think that's a very, again, you can be your 6 foot tall, oily bohunk, good look, muscular. But if you have no assertiveness qualities, then
Sure.
you may just be something pretty to look at.
Right. Right. And I think as a woman, if you have no sense of your own power,
Mhm.
being able to to determine how far assertiveness can go, right?
Right.
So women get power because we say no to you guys.
Right. Right.
Right. And so our assertiveness is actually in that way, in
Right.
determining no, 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 um, maybe, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But the power from a woman, I think, very often is again, it's feminine.
Right.
But why we are troubled with that kind of feminine power, or why
Right.
feminists would say you're not being a feminist if you want to sort of embody or celebrate that kind of feminine assertiveness, which is the one that says no, yes, or no, or yeah. I mean, it's just perplexing to me why that would be not part of a feminist mindset,
Right. Right.
right? But it's often critiqued as being somehow anti-woman or anti-feminist, or now you're just a tool of the patriarchy,
Right.
and
Right.
you're not being allowed to get your pleasures or whatever. But I mean, maybe a pleasure for a woman is more than just vulgar penetration. Maybe it
Right.
is in um, being able to hold power within yourself to say no, and then being able to feel yourself fall back into your femininity by saying yes, and be taken to a new place by a
Right.
man
Right.
with whom you trust, with whom you allow yourself to be open. And I mean, it's beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I concur with you. I mean,
Yeah.
we both have a rich understanding of what we're saying. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you mean, and there is. I mean, I think there are three personally, but I think there are more props we don't use them. But I think personally, for me, there are three guiding principles: is truth, love, and understanding. And I think those elements are not just my own in the sense of they're my guiding principles, but I think they are guiding principles for a lot of us how we interact. I mean, you can't really love fully that which you don't trust, and you can't trust that which you don't love, and you want to understand something to trust it, and all these things interplay with each other, and to fall back into your femininity, and for a man to activate to really become a masculine. But I mean masculine, folks. I also on a side note here, I don't refer to something that's toxic. I think the absence of masculinity is toxic. I think a man can
Yeah.
be virtuous, a man can be tender, a man can be a great father, a great husband, a dear friend, the same guy who should know how to tie a Windsor, change a carburetor, and know all these things. You don't. I think it's we pigeonhole ourselves too
Yeah.
much now. Whether it's a narrative we fall into believing, or if it's we've done it to ourselves. And the same thing is as much women as men. These dynamics of you're only this particular thing. As we're saying in the pre-chat. You can be a single mother. Why not? Certainly, and know to do all these things around the house. Know how to use an axe, as you were saying. And at the same time, why not being able to fall back into when you have this dynamic of male female, this element of who you are as a woman. This is the beautiful thing. And the same thing is true for I think
Yeah.
so many, as you were alluded to, a great question, a great topic we're talking about is so many men today seemingly don't know what it means to be masculine, to be a man, and they associate it with a negative connotation. And I think there's actually something rich and beautiful for that to be a man. It has no doesn't mean I'm going to
Yeah.
go and conquer some lands. It means I stand my ground. I have things that I'm not going to fall for everything. I'm going to stand for something.
Right.
And I think that
Right.
it does have something. There is a very admirable quality about that, but I think there's also a distinguished quality of you stand out. You don't have to worry about your shoe lifts, my dear lad. If you're a short bloke, you don't have to worry about all these things. You stand out. You stand out for
Right.
something. Do you know who you are? And at the same time, I think it's something we don't talk about it, but it comes to all these things is you don't need to be desired by every single person. You're obviously desiring a certain type or quality
Yeah.
of a
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
So I think that too, you don't have to be meandering around and say, I hope he likes me, I hope she likes me. That's a silly, it sounds silly to me. I hope there
Right.
are some people who hate me. I hope some people love me, hate me, and
Right.
all these categories. But I think that is we forget we're falling into these attributes, and you can be. I mean, that's why I think it makes it even more beautiful is when you can just, as you say, I think that's very poetic and very earnest, is when you can just fall back into your femininity.
Yeah.
And there's something really beautiful with that.
Right. But it has, I mean, now maybe this is socialization. Maybe this
Hmm.
is, I don't know, Darwinian evolutionary impulses. But I think women have more of a tendency for wanting everybody to like them somehow. I'm
Right,
not,
right.
I think this might, so I guess this is why falling back into your femininity in the arms of a man
Hmm.
can be so dangerous, because I don't think it is risk free, which is why I think
Right,
women need to be very shrewd, but because um, you're allowing yourself to have the luxury of being not in control,
right,
and but I mean that's how you're going to get to where you want to go.
right,
I mean, just to speak like bluntly and frankly, like
right,
for a woman to achieve orgasm, she really has to allow the man to take over.
right,
There's a real sense of like this urgency has to be his to really get me there.
right,
But to let go of yourself and to let go of your control and to give it to somebody else in a way that is so intimate and so personal. I mean,
oh, very
it is naked. This is your naked self without disguise. I mean, a part of yourself, but a part that you normally cover up because it's
precisely.
supposed to be very personal. But there is such a chance that it's not going to be valued.
Right.
And so
Hence the
this
risk
is
factor,
why,
yes.
right? So it is. So I mean, I think no, I don't think. I know that women who are like, you need to take control and you need to be the one to get your pleasure and be assertive in a more masculine way. I think it's in order to protect preemptively from falling into femininity where you're taking an existential risk
Right.
that you're going to